Welcome back to the Arts Music Store Canadian Gear Guide, where we showcase all of the latest and greatest gear and music that's available across Canada. I'm Fraser, and today we're here to talk about Adam Jones Les Pauls, specifically the two that I have here next to me. For this, I'm going to start off with the Gibson version of it and why you might be interested in this guy. So, some of you may have remembered from a number of years ago, Gibson did a custom shop version where Adam Jones is known for playing a 1979 Gibson Les Paul Custom in Silverburst. They did a custom aged version of it. They were going for, I'm going to say, about $9,600 in Canadian funny money. So they were not a cheap entry for someone who is, an Adam Jones or a Tool fan. So within the last 2 years, they have put out a production model for everybody here. And you can see that in this Gibson Les Paul standard Adam Jones model. So what happens here? What do we get? Well, first of all, we're not getting an aged version, so we're going to save a bunch of money off that. We're still getting a Silverburst, but instead of going for the Gibson Les Paul Custom like he has, we've made it into a standard. So what does that mean? Well, it means that we're going to eliminate some of the bells and whistles that typically make up this guitar. So we're no longer looking at a guitar that is bound on the front and back with a triple pinstripe binding. We are no longer getting block inlays. We're getting the standard trapezoids. We don't have the diamond, the split diamond motif in the headstock there. This is, for all intents and purposes, a Les Paul standard, but now available in a Silverburst, which is pretty awesome for this guy here. Something else with that is if you wanted a Gibson Les Paul Custom, you're still going to be forking out in excess of $6,000 in Canadian Monopoly money. So this is an awesome entry into that for anybody who wants that Adam Jones signature sound. With this, we are getting up in the top here, we are getting a reverse custom bucker. So they have done the flipperoonie here. You'll notice that where the pole pieces are on this guy, usually they would be opposite to what we see here. This one is obviously the same. And in the back here, we have a DC high gain pickup in there to help you get that. We also have a really cool, if I can show it to the camera here, a really cool Adam Jones signature spiral motif. It's very, I'm going to say 10,000 Days-esque on the back there for that guy. We also have a nice volute in here in the back of the headstock. Again, how do I angle this so you can get all the glory that is this guitar? We also have in here a custom truss rod cover for the 1979 Adam Jones standard on here. So this is a pretty sick guitar. I say we plug it in and hear how it sounds. Just running through a couple of pedals here, a Fender Princeton Tone Master, because I really like how that sounds. And for drive and distortion, I'm probably going to be using some Frost Giant pedals because I freaking love them. So let's give it a listen. Alrighty, so through the magic of editing, I now have the guitar in my hands. And what we're going to do, although this is probably not the first thing that you're going to start off with, we're going to see what this guitar sounds like clean. So I'm going to start on our neck pickup here, and we get... There's one thing Tool's known for, it's playing Norwegian Wood by the Beatles. Let's see what happens when we go to our bridge pickup. Spacey reverb on here just for fun. I think that sounds pretty groovy. Nice bright sounding pickup in there. Now let's do what everybody wants to hear. Let's get some crunch. Again, props to Frost Giant for the AOR going into this sound. Let's hear the bridge. So yeah, that's what your Gibson standard Adam Jones Les Paul is going to sound like. It's pretty dang awesome. Great feel to it. You know, ebony board on this guy is another feature I forgot to mention previously in there. All in all, an excellent addition for anybody who's looking for a pretty hard rockin' Les Paul that I think is a great signature model for people who know it's a signature model, but it's not going to be something as glaringly obvious as, let's say, if you're playing a Jimmy Page Dragon Telecaster. This is a guitar that could blend easily into your next hard rock or metal outfit or just for noodling around at home. Great value, but let's take a look at something else. So now what I have next to me is the Epiphone Adam Jones Collection Les Paul. And this is actually a really cool offering for anybody out there who was trying to figure out how to saddle it and maybe thinks that the $4,000 price tag on the Gibson version is a little too dear on the pockets there. So with this guy running in at about $1,900 in Canadian Fun Cash, with this we have a lot of great appointments that people would be looking for. So for example, like I said, a Gibson Les Paul Custom is going to run you $6,000 plus, and they don't presently have a silver burst. It's just, do you want it in ebony or do you want it in, I think it's Alpine White. This is the silver burst, and just to give you guys a look at this guitar, we now have it so that it is bound on both the front and back, but we're getting some super cool limited edition artwork such as this Ernst Fuchs, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, piece of artwork on the back here. There are a few more that you may have seen, such as the Veil of Bees or the Berserker. We have a few of them in the store here. Not those two I listed, we just actually sold those guys, but we do have some of the other artists available. We'll definitely show you those guys. But this one in particular kind of gives me a bit more of a Tool-esque vibe from kind of like the late 90s there than some of the other ones. So I really wanted to feature this one. This one also just got released, so that's pretty cool. Also with this one, in comparison to the Gibson, is that we get that more traditional 70s burst vibe where we can see the silver burst fading into the black on the side, which is quite nice. So that's a really cool feature of this guy here. We've got a Seymour Duncan, I'm gonna have to double check on this one, Super Distortion. Hey, why don't we do a magic cut so that I can figure out if I remember. There we go, magic of editing. So this is a Seymour Duncan Distortion, and then we have a reverse-mounted Epiphone Pro Bucker located up in the neck of this guy. But not to be undone on this, we still have an actual ebony fingerboard. So we're not getting any laurel or any stuff that is commonly associated with a more cost-effective guitar. So that's quite nice. We've got obviously a bound neck on here with this. We still have that really nice volute in the back, and I do really love, again, if we show this here, the silver burst actually runs up the neck as well. Some really nice features on this, and finally, not to be outdone, this comes with a molded plastic case that comes with this guy that is very much in the spirit of the Gibson 1970s chainsaw case. We'll show that to you guys in a cutaway in a second here. It's fantastic. So at no point does this guitar feel like you're getting away with a budget-friendly version of something where it feels cheap or it feels like they had to cut corners. If anything, I would argue this is probably one of the greatest overseas Epiphones I've ever had the privilege of playing. So why don't we plug this in and see how it sounds? So once again, let's start off by hearing what this guitar sounds like clean. So let's hear our neck pickup. So we have pretty damn good sounding neck pickup if you ask me. And together we should get So again, nothing about these pickups sounds cheap or crummy. Like, this should fit in right at home with whatever Tool song you're gonna play, but I think we should try it with a little bit of crunch. So, once again, shout out to Frost Giant. So it certainly does that well enough. So let's see if I can get away with a piece of a Tool song without being demonetized by YouTube. Let's see here. Pretty killer sound. So without further ado, I think we've got a pretty good idea here of what the Adam Jones offerings in the Les Paul format can do for you. If you have any further questions, simply give us a shout at the Arts Music Store. But feel free to swing on by and try these guys out. I think there is a lot of inherent value offered in the Epiphone version as well as the Gibson version. I've been Fraser. You've been watching the Arts Music Store Canadian Gear Guide. Catch you on the next one.